people have to pay to see the world. I get paid to see the world, and that's a super blessing within itself. Being able to tour all over Europe, Africa, Australia, Asia, everywhere you can think of in between, and get paid to do something to see the world. So that's a blessing in itself. And really, my thing is about legacy and catalog. For all the things that I've done, it's about what I've done living beyond me and after while I'm gone. It's about the legacy of it, what the catalog is going to do to kind of further people along in any regard. You know, for me, the joy comes not from what I've been able to gain monetarily, which has been great and been a blessing, but it's been the people that connect with the music and say, hey, your music got me through this, your music saved me through this. I was getting ready to go to jail and I had to listen to your music before I left and it was big. I was literally on deathbed with cancer and I was listening to your music every day and now I'm not. Like things like that, and those are priceless moments. I was gonna make these decisions, I was listening to your music ad nauseum and then I didn't make those decisions and it saved my life. Like that's really what it comes down to for me. And then as far as with me and Raheem, yeah, he told you how we met. Just him being a fan and a supporter and turning us connecting and kind of doing business together. And with one of my albums, The Mind of a Saint, that came out about 2 years, 2 years ago, it was 23. I wanted to do an art project. I wanted to do an art gallery based on the album, so I reached out. I kind of did a contest where different visual artists could submit paintings for each song. Like, you know, 10 tracks on the first version of the album. Now it's 17 because we re-released it as a deluxe double album. But we need a different painting to reflect each song on the album. Raheem did one of them, and one of them was in the theme of Charlie Brown of the Peanuts. And I was like, yo, this is really dope. Matter of fact, I think I told you, I was like, yo, flip it kind of like Charlie Brown. Yeah, that's right, yeah. I was like, when you do it, kind of go, because he said he wanted to do one. I was like, yo, go like the Charlie Brown angle, because no one has done anything kind of fun. All of this stuff was very serious, which was great. And I was like, yo, go the Charlie Brown way. And he did the one, and I was like, yo, this is really dope. And then however many months later, he hit me and was like, hey, if you don't mind, I'd like to do a piece for every song myself. And I was like, yeah, go for it. And then when we started doing it, dude, yo, maybe we could turn this into like a book that we release. And I was like, all right, bet. And it kind of springboarded from there. That's how it was.
Yeah. Now that we got that out of the way, let's get into some questions. This is the art of storytelling, which both of you gentlemen do very well. And what, in your opinion, why is storytelling still so important, and how is it that, what made you lean into that part of your creativity? Because both of you are in work with mediums where you can definitely go in a realm where, you know, nobody's gonna question if you go, you know, what's trendy, what's popular, and or just in a completely different way. But both of you are really known for being able to tell stories and convey messages through your art, which are very important and very in line with hip hop. So please speak to that a little bit. You know, the art of storytelling, its importance, and why you create that.
Yeah, who's first?
So for me, it's like, I'll say it's like a multi-tiered answer. Like, I got my start in art with comic books. Like, I love comic books so much. Marvel, DC, all the big heroes and stuff. And I always gravitated towards the storylines, like especially Spider-Man and X-Men. X-Men being like allegory for, you know, civil rights. Spider-Man being a geeky kid that got superpowers. He stayed true to himself. And I would do my own versions of that as a kid. So I've like been doing graphic novels since I was like in middle school, like long time. And fast forward to this project, that was me getting back to my roots as a cartoonist. Like I kind of transitioned from doing cartooning to illustrating to the graphic recording that I mentioned.
You mentioned this being a project that was really fun for you, and you had like
yeah, it was so much fun. Like
so much fun.
It was fun in the way of, okay, I'm making this comic book based on this album that I love. Like I was listening to that album hardcore, like every day at work, studying the lyrics, and then it hit me in a dream. Like, oh, I gotta do a book with Skyzoo. Like we got talking. It was literally a dream because I pictured like art gallery in like California, pieces on the walls and everything, and maybe a book. So it was like kind of coming back to my roots. you know, me connecting with his music and that album, because I listened to it religiously. And then, you know, just pitching him on the idea, like, you know what, we need to make sure this is in order, go out to him, like, we can do this, and this, and then rough it like this. So taking that off his plate and then making a collaboration, like, did the music, talk about it, collaborate, like, I treated him like, not only like a friend, but like a client, because it's his music and I want to respect to that, and show to him.
And Scott, same thing for you, the art of storytelling, why it's important, and also the act that you spoke about earlier. Why the Charlie Brown?
Brother Scott, real quick, I don't mean to interrupt, right? My Brooklyn connection.
Okay.
All right, so I got his card and his information, you know what I'm saying? I just told one of my young boys, I got one blood cousin in this whole city.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
This he right here, all right?
You told me he was here, like I gotta get to the office right now, but
Yeah.
the way I got that courtesy call on replay,
Yeah.
I had to get down here, I had to.
Oh, my man.
Oh,
Okay, it's likewise, bro.
look at that, we're planting trees in Brooklyn.
Yeah, so just to start it off, storytelling is never gonna die because, you know, the first thing to ever exist was a story, right? We all hear, we've all learned about the good book, it's a story. There's nothing but stories in that book that we are, you know, taught about from day one, whether it's to your parents, your grandparents, whatever, the story of God. So story, right? If somebody asks you, yo, what'd you do today? And you tell them that's a story. You know what I mean? What are we gonna do later today? Yo, we're gonna go here, we're gonna go here, we gotta do this, that's a story. So storytelling is never gonna die. It's a part of us as human beings, regardless of whether we realize it or not. With me as a storyteller, you know, in music, especially in hip hop, it may seem like storytelling is dwindling out, but it's up to us as writers, as creators, to continue to uplift that and make sure that it doesn't die out in this round. It'll never die out overall, but in the music to make sure that it's there. But it's not a job for the weary of the weak. You know, when it comes to music, when it comes to hip hop, it's not a job for the weary of the weak. You really have to be one of them ones to be able to tell a story the right way. It's one thing to say musically, just strictly lyrically in hip hop, hey, I did this and we're doing that. Okay, cool. But to really be elite at storytelling is a whole different art, a different craft, and a different skill set. You know, no matter how popular you are or are not, it's a whole different beast as far as the skill set. As far as with the book being based on the album, yeah, if you know, so I guess giving background, I don't know if a lot of people know about the album, because the album is why the book exists. So let's get to the album. So I came up with this idea to do an album about Snowfall. Anybody here is a Snowfall fan, and you know about the show. And I came up with the idea to do the album. It's called The Mind of a Saint, and it's me rhyming from the view of Franklin Saint. So the entire time, there was no Skyzoo. You don't hear the name Skyzoo. You don't hear anything about Brooklyn. You don't hear anything. It's the first time I ever did a project about that. If you know me, my music is Brooklyn, 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 and Brooklyn again. But the album is not about Skyzoo. It's not about Brooklyn. It's not about gentrification or any of the things that I always rhyme about. It's about, my name is Franklin Saint. I'm from South Central, and I sell coke for the CIA, and I don't realize it until later. That's what the album's about. It's literally if Franklin from the show decided to go in the studio in 1986 and make an album talking about the things that he's going through, as opposed to everybody else's perspective and visions on what it's like. So it's told from one point of view, everything you know about the show, but explored and expanded on in ways that the show didn't do. So that's what the album's about. And if you know the story of why John Singleton, rest in peace, who created the show, why John Singleton named the character Franklin, was because of the character Franklin from Charlie Brown. Because in Charlie Brown, Franklin was the only African-American character. He was at the table, everybody, all the white people was on the other side, Charlie Brown and Lucy and all was on it, and he was by himself. And the story of Franklin in Snowfall is that he kind of was a sore thumb in his neighborhood as the black kid who went to school in white neighborhoods and who was wise beyond his years and may have been the most intelligent person, at least book-wise, in his entire neighborhood in South Central, and kind of sticking out as a sore thumb, but being in the midst of all this, of the people he grew up with and was rubbing shoulders with. And I kind of had that same thing as far as when I was growing up, being from Brooklyn, being in the stock. I never went to school in my neighborhood. You know, if you know my music, I talk about it a lot. My parents wouldn't let me go to school in my neighborhood. Like, I always tell the story about how they was a school, there was an elementary school 2 blocks away from my crib that I played ball in every day, but I didn't go to school there. And I was like, why I can't go to school here? Why I can't go to school here? One day I was walking, this is kind of getting off subject, but not. One day I was walking to school in the morning, and there was, I was walking to the train to go to school. My school was in Manhattan, so it was like 35 minutes away on the train. And I'm walking by the school that I play ball in every day, and there's teddy bears and stuff, and flowers tied up to the fence. And what happened was the night before there was a basketball game for that school, and you're talking about 12-year-olds, and one school beat the other, and the star player for that school got stabbed up and killed as
Wow.
retaliation for the game.